now I will give the floor to our first speaker. We have the pleasure to have today Baptiste Papaioannou from the Director General of Education, Youth, Culture and Sport of the European Commission, presenting the findings and future of rural Europe.
Thank you very much. Okay, and I need also that. Thanks a lot and good morning. My name is Babis. I'm working for DG, which is the Director General for Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, part of the European Commission here in Brussels. And I'm going to present you what the Commission is doing, the DG is doing for young people in rural areas. Some first findings from a study that we're going to present next month on young people in rural areas, and what are the plans of DG for how to support young people living in rural and remote areas in the next period and practically after 2028. First, we need to create the framework, and I must say that for us, the central mechanism for the support of young people living in rural and remote areas is the EU Youth Strategy 2019-2027. Imagine that the strategy is the agreement between the member states. It's what the member states agreed to do about young people and nominate DG for the implementation. So in the strategy and under the Connect priority, the Commission is giving the guidelines for how to support young people living in rural and remote areas under the priority of supporting young people with fewer opportunities. For us, it's also important to say that under the youth strategy, we have a specific goal. We have 11 European youth goals, and European youth goal number 6 is moving rural youth forward. A youth goal which is describing what the Commission can do in between this programming period, 2019-2027, for young people living in rural areas. Important is the fact that that under the general framework, the Commission creates some specific goals under this goal number 6, which, as you can see, a lot of more details on how the Commission can support young people, youth initiatives, youth institutions that they are interesting to support young people in rural and remote areas. Again, I can say that this is part of the GEAC work for the support of young people in rural and remote areas. That means we are not targeting young farmers, but we're targeting all young people living in rural and remote areas. Important thing also is that through these goals and under the strategy, the Commission creates a system of programs. The most important, the most recognizable is Erasmus+. So in Erasmus+, we have the European and European Solidarity Corps. These are the two programs. And under this, we have the Inclusion and Diversity Strategy. And it's the specific, again, the specific dimension of our policy of how to support young people living in rural and remote areas. But now we're talking about funding. So imagine that the strategy is the political framework, the priorities, what the Commission is interested to develop, and this is the funding mechanism for how to support young people living in rural and remote areas through the Erasmus+ and European Solidarity Corps program. For the next period, we have also an extra tool. This is something that came after second semester of 2024, and thanks to the Hungarian presidency, we have the Council conclusion on local opportunities for young people in the rural and remote areas. We have 4 specific priorities connected to our work, and it's really important to say that, that we need to change the method of accessibility of young people living in rural and remote areas to our programs. That means to make the programs more easy, with less bureaucracy, and to create tools, more easy tools for youngsters in order to have more easy access to our programs, promote research and participation through the EU Council of Europe Youth Partnership, which is our common platform, our think tank in between the European Commission and the Council of Europe on youth affairs. It's an institution that creates youth policies, youth research, and youth work support for both organizations, and increase visibility of rural youth in EU programs, and that means to include the rural dimension in whatever we are doing, and especially our new tools like the Youth Check, and of course to support through Erasmus Plus and European Solidarity Corps initiatives originating in rural and remote areas. Now I'm going to share with you some first information about the study that we did together with the Council of Europe and under the EU Council of Europe Youth Partnership about the situation of young people living in rural and remote areas. This study is part of, is going to include in our, the results of the study is going to include in our work, and through these results you will find some signals, some signals about things that they are coming, new trends, new things that we discover here and there. Some general information about the study. When we're talking about young people, we're talking about young people in between 18 and 30. That's the target group. The covering, we receive information from 14 European countries, but we present the results from a group of 5, Armenia, Estonia, Ireland, Romania, and Spain. And as you can see, the results are at the level of the Council of Europe, not at the level of the EU. Important key findings is the study highlights how rural youth transition in Europe have been shifting before and after the pandemic. Positive trends include higher rates of tertiary education comparing, and fewer young people classified as needs. Important to say that there is a need for strategies, for governmental strategies about and civil society cooperation in rural areas, more active in order to create a new framework for young people living there. An important finding is the policy gap, that in general there are a lot of people who are talking about young people in rural and remote areas, a lot of people, a lot of institutions that they say that we need to do something, but there are only few things that are taking place for young people living in rural and remote areas. So we have even a gap on policies for young people, and practical things that young people can do and have access to the big picture and to the main policy areas. The second thing is the result of the project-based approach. This is really important. A lot of money are circulating, a lot of funding, but unfortunately, the most of these opportunities are project-based. That means an application in a project that will create something beautiful, something interesting for the next 1, 2, 3 years, but then nothing else. So we don't have sustainability, and we don't have policy for how to ensure that the young people will have access to more sustainable, not just funding, but policies in rural and remote areas. Important also finding the need for quality jobs, and it's obvious that we need a lot quality jobs in the rural and remote areas in order to convince and to create an attractive environment for young people in these areas to stay there or to return there. Finally, a very interesting finding from for our study is the fact that there is a strong intention to remain there or close to rural areas. This is something interesting that it's a really interesting indicator that the young people are interested to return or to stay and work around. And this is something that creates a very positive image for young people. If we fulfill some of the, of course, previous criteria, we create a more full, let's say, picture of what young people need in their communities. Some of the conclusions of this study, this research is that the report highlights the importance of adopting a more tailored, inclusive, and strategic approach to rural youth policy. And this is important because this is what we are interested to develop in the next phase, because now the Commission is in the phase to create the first draft, and we're going to present it end of the year or beginning of the next year, the first draft of the new EU Youth Strategy for the period 2028 until 2034. What are the next steps for us? So the presentation of the study is going to take place in Brussels, officially 2021 of October, in the conference Youth Perspective in Contemporary Europe, an event that we are organizing together with the Council of Europe under the EU Council of Europe Youth Partnership. And I must say that the central researcher who is going to make is here. So this in this event, we're going to make the full presentation of the results and of this study. Second, to the discussions at the level of the youth partnership about the upcoming work plan 2026-28, and the inclusion of these conclusions in the work plan for the next 3 years in cooperation with the Council of Europe. Of course, exploring actions for support and opportunities for young people in rural areas through the new strategy, the new Erasmus Plus, and the cooperation framework with the Council of Europe. It's important for us and the rural youth dimension to be more visible in the new strategy and the new programs. And for you and for whoever is interested for more information, through the European Youth Portal, all this information are available. You can find all the details, and of course through the website of the Youth Partnership, where there is a special chapter about common actions in between the Commission and the Council of Europe on rural youth issues. I can say that through the registration system, the organizers can forward to you the presentation if you are interested. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Babis, for this comprehensive presentation. We will be attentive to the presentation of the study, and indeed, all the materials, everything will be available, and we will inform participants when everything is up. We will not have time for Q&A now, but the speakers will remain, and then we will have later a good hour for discussions, debate, and we will have the chance to speak with them. Now I would like to welcome our 3 inspirational examples that have been selected to provide with concrete examples of rural youth initiatives that have thrived throughout the 3 of them already for a good number of years, I would say. And the first one, I would like to welcome to the stage Victor Cătălin Toma, Director of the Active Association in Romania, Coordinator of the European Youth Village.
Thank you, and hi everybody. So I'm Victor, coming from Romania, coming from actually from a village in Romania that they introduced, broadband internet access only 2 years ago. And coming from a village that just to be able to go to high school, I had to walk for 10 kilometers, sometimes through snow, just to be able to access, the education. But this happened, back in the 2000s. But unfortunately, my story is not a unique story, and there are plenty of other young people nowadays in Romania, in rural Romania, who are facing the same challenges. And I would say they are facing even more challenges, taking into consideration that we have a war at the border, we have a pandemic that just passed, and our, country is an economic crisis, social economic crisis. But then, what is the light we see is when we see actually, and we will look at the young people in the villages, because they still have the motivation to stay, but also to create changes in their community. So we do lack a lot in Romania when we talk about, rural infrastructure. And yet, 60% of the Romanian youth aged 14 to 18, we find them in the villages. And when we think about the general population of youth, meaning in Romania 14 to 35, it's kind of 50-50. But yet, there are limited opportunities, outdated education resources, and now they're actually closing a lot of schools in Romania, based, in villages based on the reform and economic reform. There are few safe youth spaces, stereotypes. And then you are thinking, okay, what is left in the villages? So back in 2017, we realized that the most important resource that actually our villages have are the young people. So we tried to develop a program that was using this resource. So when we developed the European Youth Village program, we are thinking about how to actually activate and organize rural youth in their villages, and actually how to empower them in order, to access the decisions in the villages, but also to be the ones creating or bringing the opportunities that themselves or their peers need. So that's why we developed, the European Youth Village program, which started as a title. And this was actually, our core idea when we started. That we need to see, and especially in Romania, young people more than just young farmers. But actually to see them as citizens, as, the people who are living and, developing their villages. So about the European Youth Village program, we started in 2018 preparing the first generation of the villages. So basically, this is a title, It's a title that we give to rural communities. But for the title are actually groups of young people applying. And each year, we have this competition, and then, these groups of young people are creating an action plan for their villages, but first they are identifying needs in their villages. They are forming these initiative groups. They are reaching out to their mayor, and they are trying to build bridges and relationships within the village. And then, after they reach out to everybody, after being aware of what are the needs and the interests of the other young people in the villages, they are creating an action plan. And that action plan is actually the application for the title. And after a competition, we are deciding who takes the title. So far, 22 villages of Romania, had this title. And actually, we are now running the selection for the next year. But what is also cool is that this year, officially also, Slovakia started the selection of their first, European youth villages. And this is a program that we are planning to expand, and hopefully, let's talk at the break and see how we can create, actually a big movement at European level with that. But what does exactly the European Youth Village? And if it's okay for you, I will move, working with youth, so I'm used to move around a lot. So basically, what is important for us and what is our mission is that we want to change this rhetoric where young people, rural youth, are seen only as beneficiary. Actually, I'm very frustrated when I'm working with other organizations in Romania that are focused on rural areas and on rural youth that are saying, yeah, our beneficiary, And having, in general, a very patronizing attitude towards youth. For us, rural youth are co-creators. And we need to see rural youth more as co-creators if we want actually, to bring the changes in our villages. But then when we work in villages, we see villages as youth ecosystems. And we try, in order to ensure sustainability in those villages that are taking the title, we are trying to work on all the components of the youth ecosystem. Of course, with the young people in the center. Because it's not enough just to do activities with the young people. It's not enough just to have a project there. If there are not youth workers or other professionals in the field of youth that are actually working with young people, and these people need to be paid and trained. So we are trying, to actually train the young people and to help them, assume positions and roles in the youth work. Also, the vision is extremely important. There are so many villages. Most of the Romanian villages don't have a youth strategy, and youth is randomly added in a policy, but no one looks towards youth. So we are trying to focus on how actually to develop youth strategies in the villages and make young people be part of permanent consultations, and their voice to be heard to like youth forums and other consultative mechanisms. And then we are looking at the structures, because young people need structures to be part of. So we are helping them to form initiative groups. And then those initiatives groups, to transform into youth organizations. And we are focusing on how to build the capacity of those groups. And then it's about the youth infrastructure. Young people need also places, safe places where to meet and to do activities. So that's why, we are helping young people to activate spaces in their villages and transform them into youth centers. And of course, funding is important. And we are trying, to connect young people to different funding opportunities to support everything that they do. But let's see exactly how this works in practice. So first, with the European Youth Village title, you can see it as an engine with 3 cylinders. So it gives first the permission, so young people have the mandate to do the changes. Because when they need to apply for the title, also the public authorities need to sign, a support letter. So in this way, the young people, it's not anymore the adults saying, but who are you that you want to do a change in the village? But now they have a public mandate to be part of the change. And then it's about the structure. And we give them support and mentorship and coaching. And then it's about signal, so the way they are becoming visible at local level, but also national and other levels. Because, for example, one of our challenges when we started working on this program was, why, we receive a lot this question, but why do you want to do something for rural youth? We don't have rural youth in Romania, and of course, those who are, they will live anyway. So that happens because rural youth are maybe not visible enough. And we should think about how to make them visible more. So what's happening exactly when, a title gets the title? So there are a lot of youth-led activities. Young people are implementing that plan. We are giving support, building the dialogue with decision makers, and they are securing funding. But beyond the title, we try to build also some other components, to help us reach this point. So we are organizing a Rural Youth Summit and a European Rural Youth Summit, especially having in mind, the scaling up of the program. We have a white charter of rural youth and a blueprint for tomorrow, which is actually a quality certificate with quality standards for the municipalities in rural areas. We have an alumni network, a Rural Youth Awards, an informal network of rural youth to give voice to the young people. We started organizing 3 years ago the National Day of Rural Youth, which is an umbrella event with events happening, in all the countries in rural areas. We have a new rural newsroom to make young people visible, but also we started working and focusing also more on the mental health and how to connect rural youth with the EU. So just a little bit some changes that we created. So more youth stepped in. So far, more than 20,000 young people from rural areas participated in events. Young people managed to secure, like from the initiative groups, more than 270,000 euros only from the European Solidarity Corps, so only solidarity projects, for their villages, plus a lot more funding, from local authorities, national authorities, and so on. And the dialogue with decision makers becomes normal. The rural youth ecosystem grows. There are concrete changes happening at local level from, building youth centers, changing, improving the transportation, and solving other issues. And also the program learns. I'm always saying that European Youth Village is alive. And are actually the young people who are influencing the way the program develops, the new components that are adding up, and so on. So I just have, because we are now planning the scaling up, and why we want to do this, because it works, it's needed, it builds trust and participation, and creates a movement, but also some reflections is, you'll have the presentation anyway afterwards. I just want you to have in mind this, so what is the change that creates in the village? So just think, about a quiet night on a Friday evening in the village where, the last bus left, everything is closed, there is nothing what young people can do. But then what the title does is actually creating a local group who, in that Friday night, they are not bored anymore, but they are actually planning their festival in the next day. And they are planning, the change in their village. And they want to be part of that change and part of that village. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victor, for the presentation of the European Youth Village. I'm very sure that people will be interested in connecting to you to see this scale up that you are planning to do to other countries. Thank you very much. Without further ado, I introduce our second speaker because we are a bit tight on time. I would like to welcome you, Ronald Würflinger, Blühendes, Österreich, in Austria, to present the Change-Making Nature project.
Thanks, hello, good morning. My name is Ronald. Sorry for my English. I'm really only focusing on working in Austria. I do not a lot of English presentations. I'm the Secretary General of a private foundation committed to biodiversity and nature conservation. And this year we celebrate our 10th anniversary, and we are founded by the biggest food retailer in Austria. And I'm in the position after 10 years of working in leader management and as a director of a nature park, I have my own funding foundation. And in 2019, I started to focus on a youth initiative we called Changemaker #Nature Youth Lead the Change, and we are cooperating with several youth organizations. We invited them, and we started together to plan how we support youth organizations and also bring together NGOs, rural youth organizations, members, young workers from big industries and companies. And we also work together with young climate organizations. Also, we involved Fridays for Future. So I started to bridge the gap between climate and biodiversity NGOs and also with a young farmers organization. And after a couple of papers and strategies, we applied for the Austrian Biodiversity Fund, and we started our project. And as I also worked before in a nature park and in a leader management, and yesterday I heard a lot about simplification and flexibility after the Fridays for Future movement, and in Austria it was really very big, and we had a big climate discussion. It was really a fast forward movement between 2018 and last year. To trust in youth, to unlock their energy, and to really, I think the most, to give them money to do something. I was in so many panels, 2019, 2020, 2018, all invited young people, all invited the people from Fridays for Future, but they didn't get any more funding, you know. In all the strategies, nothing was connected to more funding for more youth projects. And in my foundation, we said, okay, we can invest really some money. And in 2020, they started the Biodiversity Fund, and we received 50% of co-funding. And it's also funded by the EU Next Generation Fund, so we're also connected to EU funding. I think there is not about what the organizations are doing or what did we fund. I think we started the process that we have only youth organizations as the partners, And we decided that we start a board, that the decision-making boards are only young people under 27. And we have like 50, 60, 70, 100 applications. And every year, for the last 5 years, we had a board of 15 young people younger than 27, and they decided what kind of projects do we fund. So we really gave them the power. They are the decisions making, and they're decisions maker all over Austria. And that was really amazing. You know, we had farmers on the tables, we had migrants on the tables, we had Fridays for Future activists on the tables, young politicians on the tables, and together we talked about biodiversity and climate adaptation. It was really great, and I can give you some examples. I think the biggest success that we really see for the rural youth, because 90% of all the projects, in total we funded nearly 50 projects the last 4 years, and we invested like 600,000 euros. It seems not a lot, but it's for biodiversity, nature conservation, and youth organizations, it's like €500,000 euros. It's really a lot of money, and we really gave them the young people. In the rural areas, you know, we supported them. We started also an academy. We invited leader managers. We invited mayors. We invited local politicians. So we brought them together with the local communities, and some of the young project coordinators. You know, we helped to found organizations. There are new associations now. Like last year, there was the big discussion about the nature restoration law all over Europe, also in Austria. So we supported a big campaign in Austria from our group of people, and they started a youth campaign to support the nature restoration law, and it was only because one result of our project. And yeah, just some numbers. We supported, it's not correct, now it's like 49 projects, and it's really projects on the ground. So our project partners, the young people, they really improved 100 hectares of endangered habitats, and that's our biotop effect. And you see total cost of projects is nearly 600,000 euros. And we still got a lot of questions that we should fund more projects in the next couple of years, but we don't know, because the biodiversity fund is running out of money now in Austria. We're producing more weapons now. But I'm really, as I worked 10 years in the leader management, it's my conclusion. A lot of young peoples, really young farmers, a lot of young girls, they really want to do a lot in their villages, and it's really, we talk about 5,000 to 10,000 euros. And I'm really enthusiastic when we see this, especially really, I think 70% of all the project leaders are young women working in their communities to improve their community, talk about nature conservation and biodiversity. It's, if you give them like 5,000 to 10,000, those are the change makers for the next years. It's really just empowerment, that you really support young people. Come on, I believe in you. And it's not only you come to me and then you get a t-shirt and then you look really beautiful and we will see you next year and come to our Christmas party. Like for 2 or 3 years, we also support them with press and media work. It's not that expensive, but if you just give them the money and you support them, and we also send experts, biodiversity experts, really the best one we have in Austria, we send them to the people, to the villages, to visit them, to work with them. And I really think, like, from this nearly 50 projects, like 20, 30 people, they will really be part of making the world better the next couple of years. So it's like the colleague before, it's about, you know, the buzzwords like accelerate, like boot camps to boost them, and that's for just also to strengthen democracy. It's about bridging the gap between rural youth and also the urban NGOs and the urban organizations. So yeah, for me it's so I'm not working now in the rural area or in some leader management, but I really, when I hear this word, talking about simplification, yeah, but do it simple but not too simple. That's always the magic term. But in all the youth policies and in all the youth strategies, and we won a lot of prizes for the project in Austria. It's all very nice, but we really need small funding pots for youth projects, and it's really a lot of trust. And for sure, I'm honest, I don't know how the projects will be developed the next 2 or 4, 5, 6 years. I don't know. But I really see that most of those young people, they will be motivated, enthusiastic for the next couple of years, and I think that's very important, because it's like my memory when I worked in the leader management. If you have the best young people in the world, you really have to support them, and I think that's the most important message. And I think you see a lot of faces, people who are really now working, doing internships in EU organizations, working in Brussels this summer, and I don't know, doing really a good job. Some people of them organized the biggest conference for youth and climate protection in Europe this year in Vienna. We supported this conference again just with 4,000 euros, and they organized an event with 500 young people from all over Europe. It's called Climates Austria. And so yeah, I just want to say, yeah, that's a lot of impact, a lot of nature conservation, and thanks for your time, and
Thanks a lot, Ronald. I think we can all see your enthusiasms when you speak about the program and the results that you can achieve, really just trusting people and encouraging, and especially in a topic such as biodiversity. So really that they are bringing change to the nature also that's around them in rural areas. So thanks a lot for sharing that with that enthusiasms. So to conclude, last but not least, we're going to have a duo from France, from the Inside organization. We have Marélie again and Baptiste Dubreil, who are going to present the rural volunteering project that they run.
Thank you. And this is okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you to the Rural Pact for organizing this conference and giving us the opportunity to speak. Insight, it's a French NGO, born in 2018, so it's quite new, and based on 2 main observations, which I believe are shared well beyond France's border. The first of all, that there are extraordinary people, and I guess many among you. There are local elected officials, project leaders, citizens who are committed to our rural community, and they act on a daily basis to bring positive initiative to life in rural areas. But they lack human and financial resources, as well as they often feel neglected by the public policies. On the other hand, there are young people that are eager to get involved and find areas where they can make a difference. So we are now a team of 20 employees all over France, and action are based on 3 pillars: ruralities, youth, and cooperation. We also believe in the power of embodiment. That's why I will hand over the mic to my colleague Baptiste to present the rural volunteering, as he used to make a volunteering with us a few years ago and is now working on the field with us.
Hi everybody. Thank you, Marélie, for introducing me. First of all, maybe I would like to change this one. Thank you very much. So let's talk about the rural volunteering. So on the screen, you can see the different criteria that we use for this program. I would like to undermark some of them. So we offered the opportunity to young people between 18 and 25 years old from everywhere in France to settle during 6 months in a small village. Volunteers are working in pair on three main areas, which are culture and heritage, social cohesion, and at last but not least, environment. Volunteers get an allowance through civic services. It's like the French program, which is somehow similar to the European Solidarity Corps. So like Marélie said, I used to be a volunteer a few years ago, and I would like to share with you a quick part of my experience. So I spent 6 months in Salèche, a small village of 3,000 inhabitants located in southwest of France. I worked in pair with Clémence, it was the other volunteer, and we were basically helping a local place to grow. There were various activities like grocery stores with local products, bar, restaurant, place for NGO, concert, etc. So our main missions were focused on social cohesion and culture and heritage. For instance, we summarize archival material for the municipality website, and I'm really proud because it was before ChatGPT even existed. Now I would like to focus more on my current job. Yeah, you can see here. So what I do for Insight is that I'm in relation with village mayors and NGO leaders. We work together on territorial diagnosis, and we create the content of the mission based on a bottom-up approach. And I also make sure that villages provides housing to be able to host the volunteers, and we try our best to, youngsters learn how democracy works, and we try our best that they can be integrated in the town council. So to summarize, I would say that we try to make rurality more attractive, matching rural communities' needs and youngster desires.
Actually, this program used to be branded as Erasmus Rural a while ago, but then the European Union told us that we should change the name because we don't have the, the right to use it. But it gives an idea of this mobility and the possibility for youngsters to move from a place to another and experience rurality. So that's why I wanted to underline this. So here are a few key figures. I'm not going to spend so much time on it, but just to show that since we launched the program in 2020, it's more than 430 young volunteers that were welcomed in villages, and they supported more than 500 projects in 250 villages. Linked with this group discussion, I would like to focus specifically on two main figures. The first one is that 17% of the youngsters that came to villages, they decided to settle on the territory after their volunteering. So it shows that rurality is actually attractive as soon as you manage to give the opportunity to really experience it. And there were 29 jobs that were created in the villages linked with the missions that the volunteers worked on. So we were invited here to talk about rural volunteering, but Insight Action is way broader than the rural volunteering, and I would like also to make a focus on our community, Artisans d'Idées. I tried to translate this in English, but honestly, I couldn't find any option that was really satisfying. So I hope you will understand the idea from French, and we can discuss it later if you want. The aim of this community is to create links between rural thinkers and doers, researchers, elected representatives, project leaders, youngsters, citizens, to provide them with tools and resources and to organize events, both at the local and at the national level, to connect them with each other. It's somehow what the Rural Pact is doing here, but we do it at a much smaller and modest scale. Moreover, we have structured our governance on the three pillars I was quoting. There was the cooperation part. We are based on shared governance cycles. I don't know if it's something you're familiar with those concepts, but we've structured our governance and our board around two main cycles that are youth and mayors. because they are the two main stakeholders of the projects. So we strongly believe that their participation, and especially youth, is very important. Former volunteers involved in the cycle, they have a voice in defining the organization's strategic orientations, as well as in leading different projects. For instance, they propose practice analysis to volunteers, they organize webinars, they share their experience, and they express their concern to advocates in events, such as one we organized in June at the French Parliament and also in ministries. And finally, I would like to conclude with a few words on our social research and development program, as well as European prospects for the organization. We participate in building a rural coalition in a national level. It's called On fait campagne. It's also impossible to translate, but it's a play with words between countryside and campaign. Because on one hand, it's a platform that locates solution providers and offer resources and training for citizens and local elected officials. But on the other hand, it's also more political, let's say, because it's a way of gathering rural stakeholders to tackle far-right ideas from the ground, while they strive on polarizing and on the sense of decline among rural population. On the contrary, we promote a common vision of rural areas, which we believe are dynamic, innovative, joyful and supportive. And we really want to focus on this in order to fight those ideas. We also experiment other formats to diversify possibilities for young people to get involved through internships and apprenticeship contracts in rural areas, and develop partnerships with the research community. We just started a PhD at the beginning of the month on the desirability, participation as a lever for desirability of rural areas. And finally, now that we proved on the ground the efficiency of rural volunteering, we are willing to promote spin-off, a bit like Victor said, like scaling, but we believe that this solution could work in other European countries because, as Baptiste said, it's a bottom-based approach. So, I mean, like, we need to get to understand what are the needs of the villages and then to make them match with youngster aspiration. And promote develop cooperation with other organizations. So we have a short time, and I hope I didn't go beyond, so I think I will give you the mic, Patricia. But from what we heard yesterday and this morning, we believe that there are plenty of bridges to be built between our organizations, so don't hesitate to come and discuss with us at the end.
Thank you very much, Marélie, Baptiste, and well, to all the speakers.